Welcome to Learned or Be Learned. We all have a story, we're all the hero of our own story. Whether your story is worth reading when it ends is up to you. I'm your host, Shiva Danishekar, and let's jump into episode 2. Real quick, I wanted to jump in here and give a quick shout out to my boy James Cecil for making that intro beat for me. It sounds inspirational, it's perfect, I appreciate it, man, thank you so much. Also, guys, I have a link to my LinkedIn page and my website where I'll have show notes and other tips in case you need a quick read or a recap. Please follow my page. Thank you so much. Love you guys. And okay, let's get into episode 2, part 2 of the Bored and Brilliant book. For a quick recap on the last episode, we talked about 1, true digital usage. How long do you use your screen time, etc., your notifications. 2, keep your phone away, like in a bag when you travel. Be open-minded in the subway, choose a spot. 3, a photo-free day. So if your addiction is taking photos all day, Snapchat, just photos or whatever, go 1 whole day without taking photos. 4, delete the app. Yeah, this one was probably the most radical, deleting the app that you love, but, it's almost like the rip the Band-Aid off method or go cold turkey. But like I said, it's up to you. This is where you decide whether the technology that you have is a product that's serving you or is it hurting you. Anyways, let's get into the last 3 challenges of this book, starting with take a vacation. Okay, so we are in the information revolution with close to 99% of the entire stock of information ever created to be generated this century. That has some real benefits, but also it has some cognitive costs, right? So one of the cognitive costs is a shorter attention span. And to kind of go back into how this all relates to the vacation, there was a 2016 survey by NPR that said half of those in the United States who work 50 plus hours a week reported that they don't take all or even most of their vacations that they've earned. 30% of those who do go on vacation said that they do a significant amount of work while on vacation. That's insane. And I get it. We're all busy. We all have deadlines. We all have things to do. But like this book tells you, you need to unwind in order to actually boost your productivity, your creativity, your energy levels, right? So managers should urge their employees to take more vacation days. And likewise, having more periodic rest and reflection gives your team that space to replenish their creative energies. Google has those sleep pods for a reason, right? So people are like, oh, they get paid to sleep. That's awesome. I'm jealous. Yeah, that sounds really cool. And it really is. But there is a purpose why Google does that. And Google caught on early to this idea that they are the most productive when they are well rested. And you can't expect them to go 9 full hours without a break, a real break, right? Not the quick 10-minute lunch break that you get between your job or because by the end of the day, you're just scrolling through Instagram or you're half-assing your work because you can't focus anymore. It happened to me, it happens to you, it happens to everybody at some point. And, it even happened to me in school sometimes, yeah, sometimes, right? But you know what I mean, right? So it's coming to the end of the day at school, you're starting to get a little bit more tired, that's the last class, you don't really care. I remember being in band, and I remember just falling asleep on my instrument. It was probably the funniest thing. I would put my stand all the way up where they couldn't see my face, and then I would just pass out. Because it was 4 p.m. I was really tired. And that's the thing, right? They expect you to have so much energy the whole day. It's not the most beneficial for you. It can be done, maybe with a lot of coffee or something, or if you're just naturally a crackhead. But for most of us, I think we need that break. We need that replenishment. So this book talks about how groupthink isn't where the magic happens, right? Groupthink being where you're in a group, you're all making decisions together, and this discourages creativity and individual responsibility because the group becomes more polarized, right? So one person might think, I don't really like that idea, but everyone is like, yeah, let's do it. That person might not speak up, and therefore that idea might even be better than the group's ideas. So that's what groupthink is. And the book suggests that the individual level is probably where the most clarity comes, right? So a couple examples being Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak wrote that he actually believes critical place should be held for intellectual solitude in order for creative processes to occur. And that is crazy. Likewise, Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos begins most of his staff meetings with 30 minutes of silence for his staff to read quietly the prepared 6-page memo geared for the meeting. And he also doesn't do bullet points, he does full paragraphs because he believes that there's a deeper clarity in what you're saying, what you're writing, the presenter. There's often more time for complex issues because when you bullet point, you're kind of, summarizing the points, and you don't get time to focus and digest the material as well, which is why he does the silent period. So basically, this challenge, just take a break, go for a hike, go for a walk, chill in a hammock or by a fireplace, read a book, talk to friends, but just remove technology entirely for like a day. That'd be ideal. And I even had this experience last summer, and let me tell you, I did it for 6 weeks. I was disconnected, and it was amazing. Maybe one of these episodes I'll go more into detail about what I did, but for now, I enjoyed it, I loved it, and it was so surreal for me. I wanted to read one more report, which is kind of crazy, right? So New York Times reported in 2011 that other executives like Google, Yahoo, Apple, etc. sent their kids to a no-tech school in California. And Steve Jobs, the father of Apple, restricts digital usage on his children. In 2010, he was asked, "How do your kids like the iPad?" To which he replied, "They don't. We limit tech in our house." Steve Jobs, the man who created the iPhone, the iPad, he doesn't even let his kids use them, right? It's like a drug dealer who doesn't touch the stuff that he deals.
Wow. Asshole.
That is some shady shit, Apple. That is all I have to say. That's some shady shit. By the way, Apple is a $1 trillion company. They were the first $1 trillion company, and honestly, that's insane. I just have to say, that's insane. What do you even do with $1 trillion? I don't know. Anyways, next challenge, observe something else. It's pretty simple. Just go somewhere, stay for a while, a park, a mall, gas station, people watch. I know it's a pandemic, so this might be a little harder, but I think the park is a good place to go and just hang out. Just sit there and just observe the trees. There's so many times when I eventually, I've gone a building I go to frequently. After 2 years, I look up at the ceiling and there's artwork or there's something hanging that I'm like, wow, that's really nice. I've never even looked up. It's because we're so busy in our lives on our phones. We're looking down, we're looking straight, but we don't, observe everything around us, which is crazy. There was a 2011 fMRI study in Yale by Dr. Judson Brewer, and he talks about how there's this default mode network that's deactivated when we meditate, right? So mindful meditation is a stress reliever, but it turns off the region of the brain involved in daydreaming. That is crazy. Honestly, if you think about it, meditation is a stress reliever, but it removes creativity in that daydreaming aspect. But that's not the only kind of meditation, though. There is open monitoring meditation, which is the exercise that encourages you to notice experiences. You can jumpstart your mind wandering. Active open mind awareness meditation is this non-judgmental, open to any thoughts that arise kind of form of meditation. And it's honestly the most conducive to your creativity. I would suggest, mindful meditation at night to relieve that daydreaming and thoughts to, reduce the stress from the day, unwind and go to bed. But in the morning, I would suggest open monitoring meditation because it could be more conducive to, jumpstarting that energy level of creativity and productivity. But remember, all thoughts are to come and go as they wish. And that's no matter good or bad, you just let it kind of happen. It was also said in the book that this mind wandering is been found to be more predominantly future focused and frequently autobiographical planning, right? So what is my life going to be? So it's more like you start thinking more and you start planning more ahead. I love this quote that Bill Gates and many others say: you always overestimate what you can do in 1 year and underestimate what you can do in 5. And I think this mind wandering could help with that. Next, let's talk about how if you've ever tried to alter your routines, right? You know how deceptively hard it can be, right? It's pretty difficult. But this book talks about how you should make tiny changes in order to start seeing progress in your routine changes. So they tell you to start by making a little difference and then it starts to build up. And that kind of reminds me of the book Atomic Habits, which is where you're basically tweaking your routine until it becomes to bigger changes. So example would be if you have a hard time flossing, putting the floss right next to your toothbrush because you already hopefully brush your teeth twice a day. And if your floss is right next to your toothbrush, you're more likely to floss afterwards because it is right there. And when it's not there, like, it's a very subtle change, but it makes a big difference because you have to go get the floss. You have to remember first off because you're not used to doing it. So you have to remember. And if you remember, you're lazy. But if it's right there, you're just a little bit more inclined to do it. And once you start doing it, that adds to your routine, and then you can do another one. Anyways, they talk about how junk surfing is equivalent to like the media version of, it's the internet equivalent of junk food. You're just spending hours not doing anything. You're just consuming absolutely nothing. So how you use technology is up to you. You can also unwind with it. I enjoy it as well. I'm not saying get rid of it. The key is not to give it all up. It's to realize that it's happening and to be aware of it and to control it. It's to use it to your advantage, and whether that be, business, promoting your artwork, or unwinding, all of that is to your advantage only if you're aware that it's happening. So if you like playing Pokemon Go every day and getting out of the house, and you realize that you're doing that, do it. If that gives you the exercise that you need, then go do it. Go get that Snorlax. But if you play like subconsciously frequently all day, like you're doing work and you take a 5-minute break and go on Pokemon Go, that is not conducive to your, productivity in your life. Lastly, I want to go into challenge 7, the last challenge of this entire book, the Bored and Brilliant challenge overall. So there's 3 steps to how to be bored. That's basically what this is, right? They want you to embrace this boredom and start and try something new. Okay, you are going to hate me for this one. If those of you that need to know how to be bored, and trust me, these examples I will give will be very boring. I mean, for me, I always have something to do. So this is something that I need to know. I know others had contacted me saying they want to talk about the book and how they believe that they're constantly bored and how that can be, on the other end of the spectrum, bad for you as well. And maybe I will talk about that in the future. But for now, let's go into step 1, which is to identify the aspect of your life that is confusing, you've been avoiding, or downright just terrified to think about. So what is it? And 2, I want you to set aside 30 minutes away from complete distractions. No kids, no friends dropping by, no college roommates, knocking on your door. Put your phone away, your electronics, tablet, laptop, smartwatches, everything. 30 minutes just for yourself. And then this is where the step 2 examples come in. You got option 1, put a generous amount of water in a pot, put it on a stove, watch it come to a boiling point, and just wait. Just sit there and stare at the water. Or option 2, you could get a small paper and write 1010 repetitively, as small as you can, until the paper is full. Maybe like a sticky note version. Or if you have no friends, you can stare at a basketball with a face on it. I like that one. That one sounds comforting, actually. I like that one. But, up to you. Whatever you want to do. You don't have to do those 3. You could do something even more boring. I don't know. Let me know if you have anything even more boring than that. And step 3, now that you're bored, I want you to immediately sit down with a pen and paper and write down everything that comes to your mind for problem solving. So if you like drawing, if drawing is your way, and perhaps you would want to draw, maybe you're like an architect and you start drawing bedroom ideas or house layouts. If you're a list maker, start making a list of bullet points. If you're a timeline maker, you like to plan things by a timeline, start with that. This is just to let you flow. The problem that was sitting in your head, you've now become really bored, and now you can start just executing. You can start writing everything that comes to your brain. And slowly you'll unravel what you really need to do, what you really think you should do. In the end, I'd have to say this is all just a motivational issue, right? So if you want to get off Facebook, it's up to you to get off Facebook. Whether you deem that important enough is up to you. I can tell you to get off Facebook. You might know you need to get off Facebook, but it's that motivational thing. Do you have the motivation to get off Facebook? Do you have something else that you value even more than the time that you're spending there to be motivated to stop? Like I always say, you can give people inspiration, not motivation. Motivation comes from within. Whether that is external, like money, or internal, like self-satisfaction, either way, it comes from within you, right? So the hardest stuff is what is most worthwhile. in my opinion. And our new responsibility is for our generation to find a balance between this virtual reality as it enters into our real lives. I actually saw a video by Gary Vee yesterday where he predicts like technology might take us in the next 20 years. And he's like, you haven't even seen what's about to happen yet. And he talks about how he had this idea where maybe a contact lens that projects images into our reality, right? So we're all wearing contact lenses and you want to upload a picture of a butterfly into your room that's just kind of floating around. You just kind of, I don't know how, imagine it or whatever. And it's just sitting there. I mean, I guess some of you might end up creating like a fake girlfriend or something, or I don't know, maybe take imaginary friends to a whole new level. I don't know. The world could get really weird in another couple decades. It's very interesting to see how technology plays out for us in the next 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in to part 2. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you found some value. Your comments from the last episode were the most heartwarming thing. I am so glad that you guys enjoyed it and found some use out of it. And remember, technology makes a great servant, but a poor master. This was episode 2, and I am signing off. Peace.